Welcome to Embodied Alchemy with me, Rebecca Wilson, an embodied experiential space for you to drop deep into the wealth of wisdom within your being and activate a fuller, richer you. I am an embodied business coach, embodiment queen, sacred business midwife, and alchemist. I will help you birth your visions and sacred business into the world from an easeful, embodied, and rooted space within. So you can be who you are here to be, create what you are here to create, and activate the wealth of energy that is you. I will activate you into self-leadership, self-mastery to create your legacy on earth. Welcome on the journey, my love. Hi, loves. Welcome back to Embodied Alchemy. Today, I really felt the call to talk about structure. It's not always every feminine essence being most desirable subject to dive into. I definitely know I held a lot of resistance to it at times. But it is an absolutely essential part of wholeness. Essential part of energy and an essential aspect to bring into embodied business. My journey with structure was one of great resistance. I, for many years, did everything possible to avoid structure in all ways. I really lived for this feeling of motion and energy in my being, in my body, in my life. And I'd cultivated a story and an idea around structure not being any of those things. So I had pushed away and denied and rejected anything that I had ever believed or attached to what structure could possibly be in my life, in my work, and in my business. And more recently, in the past few years, I have begun to shift these stories and beliefs within. I began to see where the shift was needed to occur, especially in my business, where a recoding and rewriting of this belief and energy around structure was required. And I began to reform structure within my own being as a felt sense of containment, a container, a holding. And I began to explore my relationship with bringing structure into my consciousness as something that I had never related to in this way before. I decided to form a commitment, a boundary and an edge within my being and within my life and my world and my creations. Bringing in a deeper feeling of being held more fully. And this really allowed me a great insight into what was available for me to journey with, especially within my business. Maybe this resonates with you too. It's really allowed me through this alchemy process that I've been in for a few years to begin to reform my beliefs around systems and around structure. I actually began this reforming through my body, my physical body. And as an embodiment coach, an embodiment teacher, and all things body-based, it just felt so aligned for me to begin by moving structure into my body so that it would, as a byproduct, move deeply into my life and business. And so I set out on a journey of bringing structure into my body. A few years ago, my physical movement practice was very much in the feminine, the fluid, the loose, deep waves of energy and emotion. But I recognized after some time I was only living in one polarity of expression, one expression of wholeness. And I noticed that I had begun to feel a lack of strength in my physical being. I was very soft and tender and open, but that had taken me into a place of instability. I'd become unstable in my physical body. And so my energy was as well. There was a lot of emotional instability and energetic leakages within. I recognized where this was also reflected within my lack of holding structure and boundary within my containers and my work, and also within myself and my relationship to my business. I began to sense where I lacked direction or aligned action, where I was unstable, unsteady in my feet. And I began to ask myself, how is this reflected in how I'm showing up in the world and in my work and my business? So I really began to build structure from within. So if anyone follows me on Instagram, I'm sure you'll see that I have formed a very deep love for Pilates. It's been such a revolutionary process and practice for me and my body. I began to bring in the Pilates practice into my life around 4 times a week. And I really began to feel how building that strength within, that sense of structure within the body and stability, began to reflect and almost move out of that which I'd been building inside of myself into my external world. It began to really land with me that there had been a lack of this supportive structure and container within my business. And I recognized, of course, it's all the same, the body of the business and the business of the body. When everything is coming from that deep source within, everything I created in my life, in my work, in my business was being created through the current patterning that existed in my being, current story, habit, belief. And when I was very much in this fluid state of the feminine and really only living and existing and creating from that space, there wasn't a great structure or system or containment or support within other areas of my business. And the creative expression, the energy of the feminine is so beautiful and absolutely needed in balance and harmony with the masculine too. And as I become more and more aware of this, I began to dedicate, to make a commitment, to devote time every week to building structure in my body. And even though at the beginning there was some strong resistance to this, and my body really ached and hurt and didn't like these new patterns that I was creating within, I stuck with it. And not only did these practices bring structure into my being, it also began to bring structure into my days and my weeks, because I set out the days in my calendar where I would take on certain styles of practice and stay in commitment to them. And something happened in this process for me that really began to anchor and root a deeper sense of balance within. New energy and strength and support was being woven into my physical body. And it was so fascinating for me to witness. It kind of blew me away how this shift in my physical form was shifting everything in my life. I began to feel more safe and more solid and more grounded within my being. I was better able to regulate myself and began to cultivate much stronger and clearer boundaries with myself, with my clients, my time, my energy, my abundance and wealth, within my business, within my team. So I began to lean even deeper into this edge of bringing structure, building structure into my body, and how this can feel safe and secure and stable. And I got curious. What could happen from this space? What could be created? And it was expansion. I was very surprised, but expansion was here. The very thing I believed that structure would take away from me was actually what it liberated me into. A felt sense of freedom and expansion arrived for me as I cultivated more strength and structure within my being and my business. It really felt quite big to let that land in my consciousness, my energy, and my world. And I went on a really deep journey of exploring all the ways that I could bring structures and support and systems into my business. And in doing so, I've actually been able to create more space in my life, in my work, more space to relax, unwind, more spaciousness to soften, to do the inner work and evolve. And I have a greater capacity to hold more as I am held by this internal safety and structure within. And the journey of building structure in the body began to build structure within my business. It was so fascinating to see it all unfold, and still gives me those moments of, wow, this is unbelievable. And of course, totally believable at the same time, because I deeply know and believe that what exists within exists external too. And so I began to play with evolving my practice and my embodiment into waves of structure and waves of flow, bringing on some days more structure, some days more flow, and some days a dance between the two. And this experience began to bring these two polarities and opposites into a greater sense of wholeness within my being. And the teaching arrives again that nothing exists in separation. this inner connection, this inner union that happened between these two aspects of the whole brought huge leaps in all areas of my life. Huge healing experiences in my personal life, huge healing quantum shifts in my business. And as the shifts arrived in my life, in my relationships, they arrived in my business too. I arrived into a point of transition. And it was at this point that I actually arrived into the decision to expand my team. Because I'd kind of become a little bit obsessed with how much support and structure I could bring into my world, into my life, what systems could arrive into my business to allow more flow in. I couldn't quite believe at the time that the structure and the support hadn't been put in place sooner. But of course, it's all part of the journey, right? So I brought in some new team members, and they brought in their structure, their support, the strategies that they all excel in, and in that, a safety and a containment. And my business and my creativity began to liberate. A new expansion arrived in my work, in my business, in my creative capacity. I was able to lean on the systems and structures that had been brought in so that a greater flow of creation energy could move through me into my work and my business. And as the structure in my business continues to grow, the strength of the structure in my being grows, my business expands too. And this is what I really wanted to share. This was the sharing that came to me today. As the structure and support arrived in my world, in my physical being, it arrived in my business. The power of that which I create and share with the world has grown. It's stronger, it's more vibrant, it's more potent and more grounded and rooted. The structure of the body builds the structure of the business, because the business has a body too. And this is a practice and a process that I journey with many of my clients so deeply. A journey of dancing with polarities. And it's my experience and finding that we often tend to be more overexpressed in one and underexpressed in another. But as we begin to build them both equally, we're better able to dance between the two. It arrives on a very deep level as a healing of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the embodiment of the inner queen and inner king. This internal marriage that happens when no part is held higher or lower. There is an equalness in the differences of these aspects of ourselves. And there's wisdom to be pulled on, to be brought forward from both experiences, both polarities. There is no separation. What lives in the body is expressed through the business, and what lives in the business is expressed through the business and all its creations. When it's embodied, it moves through as an energetic expression. Structure in the business, structure in the body. And this is an alchemical process that I work with, inner union, the inner union of sacred business, this internal marriage, this merging and bringing forward of the power and the potency of structure and flow, masculine, feminine, creation and container. Maybe this is landing with you, but the other way round. There's greater structure in your body and your life, but limited flow. We all have our own unique patterns that are formed through story and habit in our lives. So welcome you to lean in and explore. Where do I resist structure? Where do I resist support? And what does that bring up for you to think or feel of structure and strategy, of edges and containment within life and within business? Or begin to explore, where do I resist flow? Where do I resist energy, fluidity, motion, creation? What arrives for me to feel and think of allowing more flow and fluidity and energy within my life, myself, and my business? Just allow that to all move through you, within you. Explore where you may be able to bring more structure into your day, your world, your life, or more flow. When you start with the body, you begin from within, and it weaves out into all other aspects of your reality. So when we recode and rewrite the story from within, it ripples out through us into all areas of our existence. It's been so beautiful to share this wisdom and teachings. And I offer you some time to explore within your being, within your sacred business, the relationship that currently exists with structure, with flow. And if this journey, this musing has landed deeply with you, I welcome you in to journey with me. I have availability for a few soul-aligned women to step into one-to-one embodied business alchemy containers with me. And I will also be launching a group embodied business alchemy activation. And that will be starting on the 8th of September. If any of these containers, these journeys are speaking to you, I welcome you to write to me, arrive into my Instagram or my website, have a journey around and explore. And I welcome you into embodied business. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you loved this musing and sharing, I would love for you to share this episode far and wide. You can arrive into all of my offerings at rebecca-wilson.com. Links to dive deeper with me are in the episode notes. Remember, my love, you are here to be the fullest, most potent, powerful, embodied version of you. I am here to guide you into that.